Disney's newest live-action remake hit theaters about a month ago. I'm finally getting the chance to talk about it. Of course, based on 2016's Moana. 10 years. Is it really time for one of these? Anyways, we're going to dive into all this and help you decide whether or not this is the right movie for you to watch as a Christian right now. Hey friends, welcome to the channel. I'm your host Tim, and we exist to help Christians live in the world, not of the world, by utilizing our convictions in the movies and shows we watch. Moana, the live action version, is rated PG, so we're going to dive into 5 areas of convictions that may distract or hinder your relationship with Jesus, any theological themes present within the movie, and then wrap it up with my own personal thoughts on the film. So without further ado, let's dive into the Christian conviction meter. And the one benefit here is the fact that it is based off an animated movie, so the action is gonna be pretty on par with said animated movie. All that to say, there's going to be some mild action pieces throughout the film, primarily with the use of a hook or fireballs and things of that sort. Our main villain here is made completely of fire / lava, so that is something to kind of keep in mind here. There also is a crab that does kind of toss around some characters here and there as well. Most of the other bits of action is going to come on the sea, whether it's via storm or it is just trying to escape Taka, the lava monster. Pretty much exactly on par with the animated movie. It's just gonna be, live action instead of animated. So we are gonna give this a 2 out of 5 in this category. Our next 3 categories is lust, substances, and profanity. The one benefit with Disney movies is you don't really get stuff in these categories, and that's nice. So all of that to say, it's going to be a 0 out of 5 in all 3 of these categories. You got nothing to worry about in any of them. Our next category is intense / horror scenes. This is in no way, shape, or form a horror movie, so it is something to keep in mind. But there are a few things here that can be creepy. Namely, they're talking about how the end of the world and the destruction of everything you know and love. Yeah, that's pretty deep and can be an intense theme. At the same time as well, the realm of monsters can be pretty scary for younger viewers in watching this movie, although it is kind of brighter colors. Not as bright as the animated movie, but still. It can be pretty creepy for younger viewers, and so can the main villain, Taka, because it is a lava monster, can be pretty scary for younger viewers as well. All of that to say, though, we are going to give this a 2 out of 5 in this category. So our grand total on the conviction meter is going to be a 4 out of 25. While this is lower on the totality of the conviction meter, it is still pretty less than moderate in its violence and gore, as well as its intensity. It is non-existent in its lust and its profanity and its substances. But as I like to say every time we talk about these things, if anything we talked about here compromises your convictions in any way, shape, or form, don't worry about watching Moana. Your convictions are God-given, and they're more important than you watching a movie, right? Because they're there to help you become more and more like Jesus. This leads us beautifully into our next topic as we dive into some theological themes that are present within Moana. And the one benefit here is it's got a very similar theme to the animated movie, which is the theme of calling, finding where you belong, your purpose. All of these are really kind of big themes that a lot of Disney movies have dealt with over the years. Hercules, Tarzan, Aladdin, Lion King, Lilo and Stitch, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, kind of, Cinderella. I can go on, but there's a lot of them. And this is a very central theme that Disney likes to use, and it's a very good story device, so I'm not going to knock it for that, especially when the animated movie is very good at that. But calling is probably the biggest thing within this film. What is your calling? What is your purpose, right? And it's a very nice theme within the movie. Moana kind of discovers it a little bit. But even for us, as followers of Jesus, it's a nice thing too, because of the fact that this film does deal with probably one of the heavier aspects of your calling. I mean, there is a whole song about something calling you that you're destined for more than this sort of thing. That can be true for us as followers of Jesus. I firmly believe we're called to 2 things. We're called to know God for ourselves, right? And so that means attending church, that means reading a Bible, it means getting involved with other community of believers that can hold you accountable, but that can also help you grow in your relationship with Christ. But we're also called to make him known, right? And that is to share the gospel where we live, work, play, eat, sleep, all the things, right? Your calling to share the gospel, that doesn't change, but how you go about it and the people you interact with, that might be different. Maybe for you, you're called to share the gospel at your workplace, whether it's working in theater or it's working at a dentist office or it's, at school, at university, all those different things. How we and the people we interact with and how we go about sharing the gospel, the people we share the gospel with is going to look different. But the core message, that doesn't change. That's not necessarily a theme within the movie. I just want to remind you of that. Also a reminder to myself, especially in the current season of life I'm in, which is trying to figure out what is next that God has for me specifically. And so that's just something that stood out to me as well. Of course, there is the whole scene within the movie towards the end of the film where Moana kind of talks with Taka. That definitely can have some biblical parallels, but I feel like that should be its own separate video because that more dives into spoilers. And I don't really do spoilers here in these reviews, even though this film's been out for 10 years. Sorry, the animated film's been out for 10 years. This has been out for a month or so. Anyways, all of that to say, there's definitely a few things here that can tie to some biblical themes, but I would not explicitly call this a Christian film. So with that down, it's time to dive into what I think of Moana. And I've kept my expectations low for a lot of these live-action Disney remakes because I haven't really been all that much of a fan of them. I've always said, and I even said that walking out of this movie, is that if I wanted to watch this story, I'm watching the animated version, and that is pretty much for every single one of the live-action remakes. And it's not to say sometimes they, can change the story a little bit, or they add some unique things and elements. This one, however, doesn't really do that, because it has kind of the Lion King problem, and even has the Lilo and Stitch problem to an extent, which is copy and pasting the film, but taking out a lot of the things that make the film, the original film in particular, special. And that is something we face in this movie, because there's a lot of great things that make the original Moana so good. The characters, the music, the story, the visuals, the color, all make the original Moana such a great movie and one of the best Disney movies ever. I'm standing by that. But this one just takes a lot of the things you like about it and they bring a lot of stuff over, but it just doesn't feel the same. The magic isn't recaptured in any way, shape, or form with this one. I mean, first things first, it looks dull. I don't know how you can make a tropical Polynesia film look dull, but it just does. I want to say that because I watched it in Dolby, and Dolby's a really great projector and a really great screen, and this did not feel like that. Anyways. The music was fine. I mean, they kept all the same songs. There was nothing too crazy they changed with it. My expectations were low to begin with, and for the most part, I thought the film was fine. The actress who plays Moana here, Cathrine, she is really good. She does a really solid performance. I think she gave it her all. She does sound a little too much like Louis Carvalho at times. Take that with what you will, whether that's a positive or a negative. She definitely does follow in the footsteps. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, or rather the rock in the room. Dwayne Johnson's fine. I mean, he's the big guy who kind of led this whole thing in the remake and stuff.
I like it, but not a lot. I don't like it.
And so I think he was fine. I'd much prefer him in the animated film. But I also do want to say it is easy to tell how much he enjoys playing this character and this role. So I do understand that. And I don't blame him for wanting to continue to play this character, because Maui is a really good character. It's hard to compare big giant dude to big giant wrestler dude, sort of, in a big fat suit, but it doesn't work to the same level. At the same time as well, I mean, there's a few new gags in the film that he does, and they're fine. I don't even want to talk about the hair because it's just horrendous.
Oh, no.
Not as bad as Scorpion King, but pretty bad. Anyways, all that to say though, the film's fine. It just takes away a lot of the heart of the original film. So for me, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. It's fine, but it's not great. All that to say, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. While you're down there, subscribe if you want to. There's a few video recommendations here that YouTube is suggesting to you. One of them's a Disney film, so check that out if you want to hear more thoughts on a Disney movie. And we'll see you all in the next one.